This is Chicago's very own WGN Midday News.
This midday, we're getting skin and hair care tips for new parents, specifically those who have adopted their kids. Dermatologist Dr. Brooke Jackson is here to talk about her new guidebook and what inspired her to tackle such a specific issue. So when I was reading this yesterday that we were going to do this, I thought, well, won't these tips apply to, all children as well? But it is sometimes different when you've adopted a child, especially of a different race or ethnicity.
Sure. Adoption, there are about 18,000 children adopted in this country every year. 40% of them are transracial adoption. So being a first-time parent is scary, as you know. So you don't know if it's a new parent issue that you don't know. You don't know if it's because you don't have the birth history of the birth family of your adopted child, and you just don't know if it's just because you don't know. And so there are some specific issues that happen more commonly in certain ethnic types and skin types that if you are unfamiliar or you have a transracial adoption, you may not be familiar with. And so that's one of the reasons I wrote this book.
What are some of those, briefly, if we can talk about them, and then we can get some tips that might apply to everyone?
Hair is huge. And so I have a lot of children who have curly hair, very different from very straight hair. And so if you are a Caucasian parent who has adopted a curly-haired child, you may not be familiar with some of the hair care practices, some of the hair care products that should be used in order to keep this child's hair looking good and not have to fight over combing the hair every day.
Right. If you've not struggled with curls your entire life, you have no idea how challenging it is. And, that whole idea of getting them ready in the morning can be very challenging, especially when they want to sort of assert their independence. So you've got some tips that work really well for everyone. So let's start with kind of the hair care issue. You talked about, with the curls, that wide comb, which is huge.
Detangling is key, especially with curly hair. So you use the wider tooth comb as opposed to the narrow tooth comb to detangle while it's wet. There are a ton of products now available over the either the internet or in the drugstore. Many, many choices. Look for the curly haired products. Generally, a little bit thicker product is better for curly hair. You wash curly hair less frequently than you do straight hair.
Yes, because it gets actually softer throughout the week.
Exactly. I've had a lot of patients, Caucasian parents and with darker skin children or curly hair, and their hair is really dry, and they're washing it every day or every other day, and I just tell them to back off, wash it once a week. The curlier your hair, the less frequently you need to wash it.
In addition to that, you also have this decorated very nicely, and you told me in the break that your kids actually did this, and that is important to make them kind of part of this process.
Yeah, so last night in preparation, I asked my kids to help me do my homework, and so I asked them to decorate it, but that's one of the things. If you want them to do things, you have to involve them, and so give them choices, let them decorate their little box. This actually is a little top so you can put everything in it and carry it from place to place whenever you do the hair. Make them comfortable and make it fun. And so particularly if it takes a long time to do the hair, you really want to make sure you are not rushed, because they're going to pick up on that and they're going to feel that it's a struggle and that they are a burden. And so you really want to get a movie and set down some time to let them do it.
Right, and make them think you really are having fun with this. You're not overwhelmed by it. Talking about fun, bubbles. Bubbles are always fun.
Yeah, bubbles are always fun. So bath time, bubbles are great. I use it as a treat, but generally bubble bath is really, really drying. I know it's a favorite amongst toddlers, but use it as a treat. And so they're, again, great products that you can get over the counter at the drugstore. Short baths, 5–10 minutes, grease them up. The heavier the product in the winter, you need to cream things up a little bit. Darker skin tends to be bumpier. It tends to need more moisture. And so you see patients...
It gets that ashy,
exactly.
Kind of
and so you want to really lube them up. And again, different. You might not use that on your own skin. You don't want to portray like, ooh, this is greasy. You don't want to say those types of things while you're applying the moisture to your skin. Your child needs the heavier moisturizer.
I know, because when we're talking about moisturizer, you've got Crisco here.
Yeah.
Really? We should lob the Crisco on the kids?
It's cheap and it's voluminous, and if you have an infant, they don't care. So this is not going to work in a teenager.
Right.
So, if you have a baby and you have to use a moisturizer 2, 3, 4 times a day, this is a good choice for you.
Wow. Okay. And then some others that you would recommend in terms of products? Because I always think, as a dermatologist, you know better. And I think there are some products that have some perfumes in them and that are really better than others, especially if kids have eczema or real dry skin.
Right. So you want to keep it simple. And again, with my book, I give you some at-home tips, and I also tell you when it's appropriate for you to maybe see a dermatologist or go to your pediatrician, because, again, I'm trying to give you the information. A lot of parents don't know. Parents are curious. I want to sort of be your dermatologist at home, but not having examined the child, I think it's a good idea to also give you a tip about when you should go see your dermatologist.
Okay, well, we certainly appreciate the free advice and the advice on when to come and see the doctor. Thank you so much, Dr. Jackson. If you want more information about the book Child of Mine, you can visit BrookeJacksonMD.com, or we'll link you right there, or you can look at some of these products again and see some of the helpful tips at WGNTV.com/midday.